Hey, what's up guys? It's Listar back with another Destiny 2 Witch Queen Legend campaign walkthrough video. This is going to be episode 7, The Last Chance. This mission, I don't know, there's not a lot to it, but the few fights that you have to do will take you a long time. And the boss fight at the end of the mission is very long. There's 3 extremely long phases, and if you die on the very last phase, you have to restart the entire phase. It's like a 10-minute boss fight, 10-15 minutes. It's pretty lengthy. So the main like, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but like mechanic of this mission is the swords from the Hive Knights. You'll kill the Hive Knight in whatever area you're in, and he'll drop a sword, and you use that to break the.
What's the situation?
The Guardian is en route to the
I would call them bones, because that's what they look like to me. Like bone cages around the deep site, and then that'll allow you to progress to the next area.
I did, in fact, mention it to Ikora moments before you interrupted us.
So again, same thing that you just did. You're gonna clear the area. There's gonna be, I think 1 wizard here as well, and then the knight will spawn. Kill him, maybe 2 wizards, and then break the little cage.
To win against the Hive God of cunning and lies, it's best not to show one's hand too early.
I love the voice line, the commentary throughout this mission, because it's really the first time that Zavala is finding out about any of this, like first-hand seeing what's going on the throne world and what's been happening, because he's kind of been out of the loop this whole time. I nearly screwed up here, almost fell off the map. So this is like the first time that he actually sees firsthand what's going on and what we're doing here, and it's kind of cool. Knight spawn, pick up the sword. I would say remember to watch out for the moths also. I found that the found that the heavy attacks work better for taking out the little capsule things than the light attacks do.
Why can't we use the light to achieve the same result?
The light may be a powerful force, but when dealing in illusions, it has proven insufficient. It is the mind that must bend to see the truths hidden here. Thus,
Zavala is still very much on the side of the light.
My only fear is where that way will lead us.
He's still very against using the darkness. A lot of the rest of the Vanguard has kind of accepted that this is what needs to happen in order to defeat Savathun or pyramids. We still don't quite know what the pyramids are. We know a name now, the Witness, and the ending cutscene shows something I think you'll enjoy. It's really cool. But it also raises a lot of questions too, as to what the pyramid's intentions are, like what they're like, why are they here, what are they doing here, things like that. But Savathun kind of reveals a pretty decent chunk of information about the future, kind of alluding to future expansions and content. This is going to be the first area that you get a banner, a rally banner. I think it's just a couple wizards. Oh, there's an ogre that spawns as well. I just pop my super here and just take out everything, basically. The game is giving you a free super here, so you might as well use it. And the same thing with so the knights that drop the swords, the sword bearers, the knight or the sword will despawn if you leave it on the ground too long, but then the knight will just respawn. You just have to kill him again. That'll come into play in the next area. The knight will continuously respawn. You could have saved your super for this room here, because there is a light-bearing knight. I think, no, it's an acolyte. There's a light-bearing hive in here that could pose some trouble, but I will switch to a sniper rifle here pretty soon and use that to do most of my damage on him. Realistically, though, you can just stay in this back room here and you should be a-okay. So you will get continually spawning waves, infinite waves of brawl that will spawn in. They won't stop spawning until you take out the light bearer. So just keep that in mind. You'll hear them spawn in, but you'll get a continual wave, just infinite waves of enemies spawn in. But you do get quite a bit of time in between the waves to do damage. If you didn't use your super previously, I would use it here to kill the light bearer. And there he is, he spawned at the back. I would use it now to just kill him right now, speed up this whole room, but it's not necessary. Again, this back room here provides all the cover you will need. And having a sniper rifle or something, a linear fusion heavy, will do you wonders here for doing damage on him. The only problem with staying in this room, though, is the enemies will kind of just they'll hide from you until you push out into the room, into the area. They'll just hide behind the pillars and stuff, and you won't be able to see them. Every once in a while, you'll have to push out, get them to move around a bit, and then then you can always run back if you want to, if you're starting to feel unsafe. So I had quite a few missiles saved up. He dodged most of them, unfortunately. Something that I like to do, for a Titan anyway, is pop my barricade on one doorway and then peek out the other doorway. It'll it'll block the doorway that you put it on, and it'll blind the enemies that walk through it. They'll take a little bit of damage and stun them. So it's just a nice way of being able to protect yourself a little bit better as a Titan. And always the overshield, you have it down, so if you do need that extra bit of protection, you can stand behind it. You gen that overshield. Just let him throw his knives. And there you go. Collect your loot and move on to my favorite part of the mission.
You've done well honing the gift granted to you by the Black Fleet, Guardian. Do you see now, Commander, why Ikora chose as she did? For all her doubts, she knew only darkness, channeled by a strong mind, could bring us this far.
I understand. My issue isn't with the call Ikora made, but the fact that she made it on her own. We know how Savathun operates. She singles people out for a reason. There's no need to make her job any easier. And Eris, I think you know better than anyone that darkness is not a path to be forged alone.
She wasn't alone. No, I take your point.
This is the main gist of this mission, is this area here. Because you move into the next area and you're basically just fighting to the top of the boss room, but this is the main girth of the mission. So remember the knights that you kill to break the barriers, or the crystals, the bones, whatever you want to call them. That'll apply here. There will be in that little building that wizard's above. In that doorway there, if you go right, there is one in there. You have to break it, and then there's another one of these areas just on the other side of the big area. You have to break both of the crystals, and then you'll be able to move on. So again, matching up our shield types just to make things easier. This is just a blue scout rifle, and it has explosive rounds on it, which is really nice actually. It actually made it feel really good. I almost kept it, but I never really used a pulse or a scout rifle with explosive rounds on it. I don't know why. Feels good. So we're gonna move up. So the knight is gonna spawn in the middle area there. As you move up, he'll spawn in. You're gonna take him out. There he is. There's a sword bearer. Take him out, and then when you pick up the sword, you're gonna get more enemies spawn. Pretty much where that wizard is at. So you're gonna want to move back and take them out. Don't worry about picking up the sword. You don't have to carry it around with you. Even if it does despawn, the night bearer will respawn and you can just kill him again. So here, I picked up the sword and ran all the way back with it to what I call the safe zone. So you're gonna get more knights spawn in, and there's gonna be an ogre that spawned in as well. Kind of up by where the wizard is at. There's these 2 knights and then some acolytes. Again, just match your shield types. I used my super here, you don't have to. If you feel like you want to save it, save it. If not, go ahead and use it. Yes, you'll get a... I believe it's a light bearing enemy. And the 2 knights that spawn. I keep running back to the sword and picking it up to refresh that despawn timer, but you don't have to. Again, this is kind of unnecessary to do, but just, I guess, showing that you can kind of juggle both killing the enemies and keeping the sword from despawning. And also, if the sword despawns, then the knight that carries the sword will respawn, right? And it's just another enemy that you have to deal with. So if you keep track of it, he won't respawn. That's, I guess, one reason why you would want to prioritize keeping it alive. Yep, there he is. He respawned, which actually worked out pretty well for me, because I could just kill him in this room here. Use my barricade to blind him, basically. Here's the lock that you have to open. Yep, that one's done. As soon as you break the lock, you're going to get more enemies spawn, but they're going to spawn kind of by where that wizard was. In the middle there. Also, you're going to get an ogre spawn. Yep. After you break the lock, you're going to get an ogre and a bunch of thrall. So again, if you need to, just rush, just push back. Don't worry about the sword. You don't need it anymore. You'll get another one when you need it. I would say prioritize the thrall over the ogre, because there's way more of them and they'll swarm you. The ogre can kill you really fast, but he's also not going to rush up onto you and push you really fast. Not a very quick boy either. But you do want to take him out, definitely, because he will melt you like warm butter. There's our light bearer. He spawned up in the middle. I believe you're gonna get one after. I believe this whole set of enemies respawns. It's just a duplicate of the other side as well. Again, here's the sword bearing guy. He just respawned in. And I kind of forgot about the light bearing dude. I didn't go kill his ghost, and he respawned right there. Wasn't quite paying attention. But cool thing is, the suppressor grenades actually work on the light bearing enemies, the light bearing hive. Like, that's basically my main reason for using them, is that they do actually suppress them out of their super, which is really cool. I don't know what this hit registration was, but they were just missing. I fired 5 bullets and got 1 precision hit. What is that garbage? There's the... You heard that enemy spawn? That was the sword-bearing knight. He spawned behind you. He's back there. I'm not gonna worry about him. Oh, he teleported up here. As you can see, he's not very difficult to deal with. Keep hitting the precision shots and he'll just kind of dodge to the side and won't actually push you. I tried to use the sword here to kill these guys, but the trajectory on the projectile is really weird. Like, sometimes it tracks really well, and then other times it just doesn't work at all, and then a lot of the time it just tracks the wrong enemy, and I got a little overzealous here and decided to rush in for some reason. I don't know. We'll skip forward. I'm not going to make you guys watch all of that again. Alright guys, we are back in on the second half, the other side. Just take your time. You don't need to rush like I did the first time. You will die. I mean, you might be killing these knights fairly easily, but they get 3 or 4 shots on you and you're going down. And they fire pretty quick, so. Yep. For some reason, the sword has a hitbox. Like, when you're, like, it stops your projectiles. Which is weird. Again, the hitbox on this door was being weird. I find that it's mainly just this weapon, and it's the seasonal LMG, by the way. The LMG you get from the season pass. It, for some reason, the hitbox on the projectile is like ridiculously big. I don't know if it's because it's not a hit scan weapon and it's a slow projectile weapon. I kind of feel like it has something to do with that, but even things like Witherhoard have way better hitbox than this does. This ogre kept flinching me out of his precision. Yep, so as soon as you take out the lock mechanism, instead of a bunch of thrall, you're gonna get a bunch, like, I think it's like 3 wizards or something, plus the ogre, rather than thrall and the ogre. But that's why we have our solar scout rifle. One more wizard up to the left. This guy has a bigger health bar, so he likes to hide. I come to learn that the enemies that have a bigger health bar or just have more health in general like to be little bitches and run and hide. They don't like to stay. They won't fight you. Basically, as soon as you break their shield, after that stun duration, they just hide. They run. They don't want to fight you. Which, I mean, is smart. They're more intelligent, if you can call it that. But it also just makes it more annoying. Because it just takes longer. Collect your chests and move on to the next area. Moving up inside to the... slowly progressing up the tower to the boss arena. Which the boss arena is not an arena, I guess. More of a hallway. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So, this area, there's just gonna be a couple knights up the top. For some reason, this guy keeps checking his freaking inventory. I don't know why he switched to avoid SMG when there's knights up here that have arc shields. Like, I don't know what this guy's thinking, but he's gonna be a smart guy right about now. Yep. This dude. Kind of got a little ahead of myself here. There is a little bit more area before the boss arena. An SMG would come in handy for the boss arena, but right now I would still suggest your shield weapon, shield breaking weapon, your arc weapon. Because the knights are still going to be your biggest issue. So this area you're going to go in, up the hallway. There's going to be an ogre clear at the end of the hallway, but up until then, it's just acolytes. Just a bunch of acolytes. So just slowly work your way up, killing them as you go. You just heard the ogre spawn in, up at the end of the hallway. I guess you could pop your super here as well, and kind of just run up the hallway also. The ogre really doesn't have that much health. Looking for the ogre. There he is. Wait for him to walk around. Bop, bop, bop. Missed. Bop, bop. I missed one precision and he's left with a sliver of health. I've noticed that a lot of these like little jagged, pointy edges of things and shit, their hitboxes are really scuffed. So this area, you're gonna go in, kill the wizard at the back, and then when you kill the wizard at the back, you're gonna turn right around and come right back out the area. But you're gonna have to fight your way through an ogre. It's kind of weird. Like, hey, run into this area, and then run out of this area. Like, there's not really anything you do other than after you run in to the back, the knight that has the sword you need is gonna spawn. It kind of feels a little unnecessary to make you have to clear the room twice. I don't know why you don't just kill the knight in this room. But who am I to say? I'm not the game developer. I'm not Bungie. Yep. Once you clear them, turn around and a bunch more enemies are going to spawn. Don't really understand it, but it's a good level anyway. Good mission regardless. I popped my super here, pretty much just to kill this knight, because I don't even think I kill the ogre with it. Or do I? Oh, I do. I'm gonna try and clear as many enemies as I can with the super, not worrying too much about the sword. The despawn timer on it is pretty long. So we're gonna break the lock, reveal the platforms, and continue on up the tower.
No signs of a crystal so far, just rows and rows of jars filled with... Is that light? But it's tainted somehow.
So, pretty much the same thing you just did on the lower level, except the room is way more awkward. But it's the same general idea. Run in, grab the sword, run out, break the locks. Same basic concept.
Not darkness itself, but an entity behind it corrupted the hive. Conditioned their power on an endless blood tide. Their fate is not inevitable.
I have no doubt that some can handle darkness with discipline. But those who can't, they're not the only ones to pay the price.
Yeah, you can see what I mean by this room's just more awkward because you're fighting vertically and you stand on one side and there's enemies shooting at you from your 90. Whether you're on the left or the right. I could see an argument for jumping up to the higher level, because there is a little bit better cover up there, but at the same time, you have things like an overshield or a rift or something, and just movement in general to stay alive also. Yep, same idea. Run out, break the locks, open the doors to... This is the boss arena. In this room here. Through those doors, basically. Making sure we clear all the enemies before we push through. And reveal one more set of platforms. Up we go.
This is an inverted realm. Explore any and all
Believe this is the
directions,
last set of platforms.
especially those you
Yes,
least
it is.
suspect.
So, I swapped to a close range weapon for this. I think I swapped back,
Looks
if
like
I'm being
we're
honest.
interrupting something. Where's the rip
I like to
I've
pop my
ever seen
super
one
for the
of
first phase. Just get through that health bar as fast as you can.
these? Found the one in charge
Um,
around here.
You'll have your super back by the last part. No problem. So, do damage. I didn't quite get through that first phase health bar. Yeah, if you get through the first phase, the boss will despawn. She'll leave the area. So then you'll just be left with the enemies remaining in the area. When she leaves, though, you're gonna get an ogre spawn and a bunch of acolytes. Again, you're gonna have that knight right here that you kill,
Closing ranks around
and
the crystal.
he drops the sword. I don't really know what I was thinking for this loadout right now. A void SMG and a blue shotty. I can understand the shotgun for close range. My biggest advice, though, get rid of the knight, because he is the only guy that will rush you, like get in your face, and he's pretty quick. Everybody else will kind of stay out of range and give you a little bit of space to kind of hide behind this pillar back here. The ogre will basically stay in the back of the area for the most part. You might move up a little bit, but not much further than halfway. And there's plenty enough cover in this room to avoid him. I kind of save him for last. Clear out the knights and the acolytes. The only knight that will respawn is the sword guy, but none of the other ones will. And then focus down the ogre. I nearly die right here, but managed to take out the ogre. Now it's just a matter of cleaning up the rest of the enemies in the room and letting sword guy respawn to break the lock on the door. Move to the next room. The rooms will get progressively more difficult also, so keep that in mind. I feel like the second room, the middle room, there's 3 in total. This next room, the one in the middle, is probably the most difficult just because it's the smallest, I think. But if you have like a rocket launcher, it's really nice for here. Or I like the missiles on the LMG right here. Or if you don't have either of those, save your super for the second room, for this room right here, because it's very small. And when you move into the next room and start the next phase, the door behind you closes, so you're locked in here. So you can't retreat to the previous area. So keep that in mind as well. However, don't use your rockets or your missiles on these knights, just kill them normally. Save it for all of the enemy bad spawns that are going to spawn right now. I use it on the boss for some reason, I guess. Just getting through that health bar, getting her out of here, because she will push you, she will rush you, and you don't want that. She's very dangerous. So, now we have our super, so we're going to pop it again here to clear the ads and stay alive. Don't be afraid to use your super for these encounters. There's a lot of enemies, and you're very fragile. Again, I'm still using the SMG and the shotty. The SMG is pretty nice, actually. The shotgun, not the best. Maybe something like a fusion rifle would probably do a little better. Something with some elemental damage, maybe. Again, there's that sword with a hitbox. Yep, break the lock, move into the next room. So, this room, there's going to be 2 phases in this room. The first phase, there's going to be a Sentinel Knight in the room. You have to kill him, and then the boss will spawn in with a whole bunch of adds. So, this room is completely the opposite of the first 2. Long range, you want to stay at the back. When you're fighting the knight, the door will not close behind you, so you can retreat into the other room to heal. I don't like to push out of this room pretty much at all while fighting this guy. It just gives you so much cover being able to come back in here. It's unnecessary to push out. And the door won't close, so you won't have to worry about respawns or anything like that. Something else I would I'd maybe advise is a good idea. You saw I swapped my heavy from the LMG to a rocket. I would advise whatever heavy you're planning on using for this final room, which I would advise a rocket, preferably a tracking rocket or a linear fusion. Whatever heavy you're planning on using for this room, I would have it equipped before you start the fight in the first room. Because if you swap, you're not going to have any heavy. So really, I don't have heavy ammo for any of this fight right here. I don't have any heavy, I don't have any super, I have nothing. I used my grenade, I have nothing. All I have is my sniper rifle and a dream right now. So, probably the most difficult part about this room for me is the fact that I'm still using a solar weapon. If I had swapped to an arc weapon to kill the knights, this room would have been much easier. But really, you just keep moving back and forth, using your abilities. There's a couple times I almost die here. Really, the best way to survive in this area, because you have very limited space, is you just have to keep moving. Don't jump up too high, just keep moving between both of these pillars. If you can, make sure you take out the knights first, because they're the ones that are going to be doing the most damage to you. The acolytes really aren't that bad. Yeah, they have their grenades, but they go down in 3 or 4 shots. It's the knights with the cannons that do AoE damage around the pillar that you're standing behind that are the real threat in this room. And the boss, she does regen health, so keep that in mind also. So it's not very fast, it's pretty slow, but she does regen, so if you do a bunch of damage to her at the right at the beginning of the fight and then don't do any damage to her, she's gonna basically be back up to where she was, to that full phase health bar. So just gotta remember that as well. Now we have our super back. So I believe I just run up and use my super on the boss, take her out, because like most other boss fights in this campaign, once you kill the boss of the area, the rest of the enemies will despawn. And that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop my super, I'm going to run up, and I'm going to take her out. Forget the ghost. And there you go. You have beaten the last chance. You now have every tool at your disposal to defeat Savathun. And we'll be doing that in the next episode. So I will see you all then.
Devotion inspires bravery. Bravery inspires sacrifice. And sacrifice.
That was Savathun, all right. But what does that mean?
This is the evidence we've been seeking all along. Ikora's instincts were correct after all.
Indeed. But we don't have our answers yet. Go unlock the memory, Guardian. Then let's see if this cracks the case.